Hello and welcome. In this quick tutorial, I'm going to outline steps you can follow to make a simple transition like my opening sequence I presented here. Here I have layered three unique videos, one on top of the other. One of people walking through a square, the second of a train running through a city, and the third of seagulls flying through the sky. The first transition occurs as this woman passes in front of the camera view, blocking it partially. Here I'll use this interruption as a way to create a simple transition where the train will appear to follow behind her. The first step in this process will be to create a mask that will follow the path of her behind her and create a negative space that will cut out the area actually in the video itself. To do this, I will choose opacity, choose the pen tool, and I'll turn on each of the keyframes next to mask mask, mask feather, mask opacity, and mask expansion. The next step will be to use the pen tool to fill in the negative space behind this woman where I want the train to enter into the video frame. Because I turned on the keyframes in the previous step, I will then be able to click on the anchor points, move it, and it will follow her path, continuing to fill in the negative space. By clicking on the lines, I can also add new anchor points. I can adjust the feather to make the edges softer. This is then repeated over and over and over for each subsequent keyframe until the entire transition has occurred. Here, you can see the transition in its entirety as the woman walks across the frame and the train enters the frame behind her. The next step will be to repeat this process, this time bringing in the seagulls as the train exits the frame. The steps are repeated by creating a mask using the opacity pen tool, starting each of the keyframes, and then drawing the mask path behind the train, and then repeating this and moving it over and over and over as the train continues to move for each subsequent keyframe. Here, you can see the first three videos transition together. First of the woman passing the frame, then the train, and then the entrance of the seagulls. The next step in this process will be to add the text in there and allow it so that the text enters the frame and then exits the frame by the train pushing it out. To create this transition of the text moving, I first move the text into a location outside of the frame. I then will turn on the keyframe for the position of the text, change the location of the timeline to where I want the text to first end up in the middle of the frame, and then move the physical location of the text, which will create a subsequent keyframe. Then the next step will be to use the opacity and mask tool to use the transition so that the train looks like it's pushing away or deleting the text of the transition's title. The next step will be to repeat the same transition masks that were created earlier, this time on this text. This is again repeated until the train completely passes through the frame, deleting the entire text and making it appear to be swiped away. In here, you can see the final transitions between the three video clips, the woman, the train, and the seagulls, all with the text also being swiped away.